Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex talking to the big stars, and here in Yorkshire, well, there's one chef that everybody seems to love, and the ladies find delicious. James Martin, how are you?
How are you doing?
Thanks
for my mother for writing that, yeah.
Is it nice being you? Because it seems like everybody loves you.
Pass. I don't know. I just keep my head down and work, you know what I mean? And I think, I try and do my best, work hard, you know.
It's interesting. I mean, just seeing the reaction to the girls in the office. For example, I come in the morning and they don't bother putting any slap on. They turn up, don't bother showering. Already the lipsticks have been out. And
I've seen a couple of blokes with lipstick on in there as well.
That's often the way, isn't it? How's your life? Because, I mean, you've got this new restaurant opening and this is coming to Leeds. It's a huge, great big thing and a big investment as well over there at the casino. We'll get to that in a bit. And, of course, the biggest problem with a restaurant is you need a good chef because it's like ship without a captain. Without the captain, it's going to crash.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at the helm, there's me sort of, you know, certainly pointing it in the right direction. But it's all, you know, you can't do it without a team. It's as simple as that. And whether you're playing football, rugby, whatever you're in, whatever work you're in, it's the team around you. And we are in the process of building that team literally today. So we're building the team. We're interviewing people. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, and I do generally interview them. A lot of people think, you know, it's literally you don't get to see me until you get further along. I'm in there and I interview everybody, and I want to know everything about them. And it's great. And what's great about it is we get in such great young team and young staff, and that's really satisfying, you know.
I think it's very important that you do care and you are involved, because I've had an incident really with one of these chains by a big celebrity chef, and I think if he knew what was really going on in his restaurant, he'd probably throw himself off the nearest cliff. It just isn't up to standard.
Well, the thing about it is that you become too big, I think, and I think, you know, there is potential there to keep opening these restaurants, and then you kind of lose the focus of where it all started and certainly the quality of it. And for me, I've really thought long and hard about opening a restaurant for many years, and this is a sort of a 8-year gap. Although I've had restaurants abroad, but I actually physically cooked in them. You know, I literally went in there. I was in the kitchens at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was the last table that went out. That was when I left the kitchen to go meet everybody. I'm not. You know, and I do it for the enjoyment of cooking. You never forget where you've come from, because that's built your career, and I think it's important to never lose sight of that.
The question I always ask Gordon Ramsay when I speak to him is, how does he find people who care as much as he does? Because that's not easy, is it? To find people who are going to take the love and joy in every plate. When it's got your own name on it, there's an added pressure. It's
not easy, but it's all about you know, teamwork, management, building up a team, you know, and building that sort of, and also I always think that it's giving a little bit, almost taking the reins off. A lot of people think, you know, working in the kitchens, it's all literally, you're all going in the same direction, and to be honest, you can become very blinkered. It's like a racehorse. You're all going in the wrong direction. All going in the same direction, not necessarily in the right direction, but you're all going in the same direction. And I think really when it's talking about building up a team, it's literally that ability to let the reins off a little bit for the young kids and give them something, give them a reason to get up in the morning and do that kind of work and be working till 12 o'clock at night, and hopefully, you know, hopefully that'll be a good thing, and I think we've got some good team members.
I'm always fascinated by chefs, because I think you're at the coalface of show business. You're working really hard, if not harder than anyone else. I say show business because you are show-offs, aren't you? I mean, you are putting art on a plate and you want to impress us with it.
Well, I think there's a lot been said about food over the last certainly 30 years in the UK, and to be honest, we're going in the right direction, because it was a steady spiral down in terms of British food and the perception of British food, and it's been an accumulated effort by an awful lot of people, front of house. I always say to the guys in the kitchen, the most important guys in this restaurant are not me, they're not you, they're not the front of house, it's the pot washers. You know, they're the first people to get fed, and they're the most looked after person in my kitchen. So it's vital, because it's a teamwork, and everybody, when you're in that, is a team. And I think certainly it shows the amount of work that all these chefs have been doing in the UK to bring the standard of food back up to scratch and back up to a level that it should be.
The Leeds Kitchen by James Martin is scheduled to open at the end of March. It's at the Alea Casino in Clarence Dock. How's it doing? People tell me that it's quiet some days and busy others. Is the point of bringing somebody like you in to make sure it's busy all the time?
You have to wait and see.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. I don't know. You know, we'll know when we open the doors. But there's been a lot of response about it, and the great thing about that is, I'm from this neck of the woods. I'm a Yorkshireman. I'm a Yorkshireman at heart. People have been great support to me all through my career in this county, and it was the first place when I wanted to open a restaurant back in the UK. This was the first place I was going to do it.
We're going to take a piece of music. We'll come back with James Martin next. We need to talk about Saturday Kitchen. We need to talk about whether it's going to be arty-farty food that looks like art but doesn't fill us up, because Yorkshire people won't stand for that. We'll get back to that next with James Martin. We're back on The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to the stars that everybody seems to like, and James Martin's one of them because of Saturday Kitchen. You're there every Saturday morning, whether it's with Gok One or whoever you're talking to. People seem to be curious now to come on your programme, and that's when you know you've made it, when they want to talk to you.
The weird thing was that when we first started a program like that, it was successful. It was doing well for 500,000 people, which is huge viewing figures anyway, particularly that time in the morning, 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, which was religiously, I remember for me, been Airwolf and A-Team, and that was about it, and then CBeebies and stuff like that. But now it's just suddenly a huge, great role, and I can't believe the viewing figures that we get. 3.5 million we got last Saturday, 32% share of the audience. The producer texted me last Sunday and said you were the highest rated program over the entire weekend, and you kind of think, what are you doing? You just been you, and I do pinch myself when you've got like Jerry Springer and Jackie Collins sat there at the end of the table, and I'm cooking this chocolate brownie, but I'm supposed to be interviewing you. It's kind of surreal from a Yorkshireman from a farmhouse in the middle of Yorkshire to be doing that. But I love it. I love the show. I've got great friends who are chefs as well, and it's. I suppose it's kind of the thing is you never lose fact of, which comes back onto what we were talking about earlier. You never lose fact of where you come from. So we call it all the tinsel, but you never forget the tree is the important part of it, and you've got to build up certainly a reputation in the industry that chefs will want to come on your show, and that's what I've hopefully tried to do. And of course you've got the big stars coming on. Does that ever become normal when they know who you are before you've introduced yourself? It's kind of weird, isn't it? What is weird is when they come in and said, we watch the show, I watch it every Saturday. I'm going, have you got anything else better to do? But it is pretty weird. Would you watch you if you weren't hosting it? No, I never watch myself. I never watch myself. No, because it's the one thing great about, one thing that I love about Yorkshire, and I always, it's just the best place in the world, is that you never get this anywhere else. The honesty of it, and that's what I love about it. And I was on the street, literally just jumping out of the cab on my way here, and this woman sort of passed me, and she's literally on a mobile phone. She hung up on the mobile phone and said, "Hey, lad, you don't look as fat as you do on TV." I was just, how honest can that be? I think that's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So you've got to love the place. Yeah, somebody said to me, they wrote me a lovely letter the other day, and they meant well. They said, you're very good value for the money they're paying you. Oh, well, there you go. Which is a lovely compliment, isn't it, really? In Yorkshire, that's yeah, well, at least I know where I stand. You've also got a thing going called The Big Lunch. What's all this about, then? Yeah, it's a great campaign that I've been involved in. The guy who set up the Eden Project is part of lottery funded as well this year. It's in its third year that it's been running, but The Big Lunch is a thing that I wanted to be involved in because it's all about the community. I think we're all to blame, and we've all done this, and we've all probably still do it, where we don't know our next door neighbour, we don't know the people down the street, we haven't got a clue who's living next door to us. So the idea of this project is to, on the 5th of June, to have a big lunch. So people can go online on thebiglunch.com. Literally, they can go online and register and find people in the local area that want to do this. And conversation costs nothing, and that's what I love about this. And people can bring in elements of the food to this lunch, so you can have a lunch in your house, in your garage, whatever you want to do. But it's that conversation thing. That conversation thing can start a ball rolling, be it just meeting people next door that you haven't spoken to for 4 years. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure everybody... I haven't got a clue who my neighbours are. I really haven't. But I'm always nervous. You see, they won't like me, and then they'll know a bit about me, and then I think, oh no, I'll just stay by myself. How do you know until you speak to them? This is the thing. This is the thing that I want to be... I'm not very good with people, though, James. That's the trouble. You can be in the kitchen and just cook it then. Or just serve the wine. It just doesn't matter. But it's all to do with that. And great things happen from people who you can talk to. Obviously, we're in an age now where there's cutbacks and there's everything else, and I just think if we want to get anything done in our local community, getting together, we can cut through all this red tape. I'm the prime example. We've got a playground in our village that's dropping to bits. It's probably about $1,000 to fix. There's 70 houses in the village. Let's all meet and club together and let's do something about it. And rather than going through all this red tape that I have to go through, all the the councils and the all that kind of palaver, just get a guy with a can of paint and let's do it together.
You see, the trouble is now, though, there'll be those who'll say, well, hang on a minute, if I start mucking about with the local park, then the council will come down and put a big red wire and all.
Yes.
And then there'll be those who'll say, well, actually, I can't afford to feed myself, so why am I going to give to the local park? There's always going to be the naysayers,
I'm not
there?
saying that, but I'm saying, that speaking to each other, certainly in a village, doesn't cost anything. I'm not saying, go and paint the goalposts. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying at least speak to people next door. There are a lot of people who are infirm, who can't get out, that would willingly love to be a part of a community that, let's be fair, to be honest, 40 years ago, we were all part of that sort of system. We all knew each other. We all knew the people next door. I come from a farmhouse in North Yorkshire. I remember every Sunday we used to sit down and have Sunday lunch, and everybody used to pile in. Next door neighbours, the gardeners, they all used to. Everybody used to pile in, and it was that community thing, and you knew what everybody else was doing. If something needs sorting or somebody needs help, particularly in their village, you'd help them.
The truth is, though, if you were living next door to me, would you really want to talk to me, James? Come on.
I don't know about that. You'd have to lose the makeup first.
You draw a line somewhere, don't you? James Martin's with us. He's the star of Saturday Kitchen. Of course, he's got his brand new restaurant, The Leeds Kitchen, by James Martin, opening at the Aliyah Casino. That's at Clarence Dock in Leeds. That's in March. Back next then with our remaining moments. We're back on The Big Show talking to James Martin in our remaining moments with the king of cooking right now. Everybody seems to enjoy it. And why I like you is you haven't got your head so far at your backside that we can't follow you. The stuff you do on the telly is stuff I can recreate at home. And I think this is where, I know there's a lot of jokes about Delia, aren't there? When, she says, cook something with couscous and mayo beans from the Outer Hebrides, and you've got a jacket potato in the oven, and that's about the size of it. You've got to be careful, haven't you, that the stuff is relatable.
I think where Delia's been very, very clever. She's Delia's honest, you know what I mean? Her books work. She's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant at what she does. And as chefs, really, certainly in terms of the public eye, we should be emulating her and looking at what she's done, because there's a lot of this sort of shouting and screaming. I've never been really into that sort of stuff. I think people who cook at home want good, honest grub, and they just want. And if things are cheaper elsewhere, then you do something else with that elsewhere. I think trying to teach somebody that the lesser spotted chicken from Mongolia is brilliant because it's bred on corn and it lives in sunlight is fantastic, but you can get what you can afford, and you have to literally try and teach people that hopefully to produce your own food on the plate, and certainly if you going to eat at home, is better for you than convenience food. And I think that's the way that we should be looking at it. You
mentioned earlier about the shouting and screaming side of cooks and chefs these days. Are you very wary that you don't want to become an entertainer and you make sure people know you're a chef? Because that's happened to many of them, where they've gone off into being presenters opposed to chefs.
Well, I think you'll see it. Hopefully people will be the judge of that. And I've rotated myself to a lot of weeks in this restaurant, not days, weeks. To this restaurant, and I will be cooking, and if somebody wants to see me afterwards and have a chat and got any questions, it'll be after the last check goes, because it's important to me. It is important to me more so than anything else. The fact that my mother will be eating there, because she'll be the first who picks up the phone and gives me a lot of grief. But it's I've spent 10 years building a really good team around me, and that team is involved in the whole process of running it as well. So I'm positive about it.
What do you like to work for? Are you obsessive compulsive? Does everything have to be 100% the way you want it? How much give and take is there?
Well, above all else, it's the buck stops with me, doesn't it, really? And I keep saying to the guys that no matter whether you're front of house or whatever we are, but if the food isn't right, that what we serve at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it is, if it's not right, then there's no point in us being here at 8 o'clock in the morning and working all day for it. What's the point? So you're almost building up to that, but the hard work starts when and also that's 30% of it. And what I'm trying to teach the kitchen, and I think there's a lot of places of this sort of thing that the food is the be all and end all. It's not. 40% is the food, 40% is the front of house, 20% is to do the atmosphere and the people in there, and I guarantee you the best meals that you've ever had in your life are generally not in a restaurant.
Right.
The best meals you've had in your life have probably been cooked by your mum, or you've had that atmosphere of everybody, the family around you, and I think that's what we try and hopefully replicate that's what we're trying to get, that ethos and certainly that percentage there.
I know they say in America it's the dining experience. It's all about how you feel, and part of that, of course, is the taste and the food.
It's all to do with about atmosphere, who you're with. You know, who you're with, the party atmosphere, who you're with, atmosphere. Atmosphere counts for a lot of things, and good service. It's everything. Can
I be honest with you? The most important thing, and I don't want to offend you at this point, the bread.
Yes.
If you've got rubbish bread, I ain't coming back, because I think that says a lot. It's a bit like, ladies who do the nails and the eyelashes.
There's a lot to be said about good. You can't have a bacon sandwich and a fancy loaf. It's got to be proper white sliced bread.
Exactly. It is so like meeting a lady and finding out she doesn't shave her legs. I mean, there's stuff going on behind the scenes.
You need to get out a lot more. If you think bread is like meeting a lady and she doesn't shave her legs.
What bread have we got? Do we get a choice? Do we get free bread? Do we have to buy it? How is it?
You have to wait and see.
Oh, don't do this to me.
You have to wait and see. No, we're meeting. I'm a great believer in you got to, and that's the reason why I'm really looking at different individual suppliers. It's local produce. It's all in the area of around here. And bread's going to be one of it. And I don't think you can employ a baker that is as good as somebody that can do it for a living. Artisan guys are very hard to come across. So if they are around, then you use those to make, because they're going to make bread better than you are.
Very good. And my favourite dinner, in fact, as we sit here now in the oven, is my belly pork slowly roasting. So it'll be done about 6 o'clock tonight. Will there be belly pork on the menu?
That's a bit fancy. Yeah, there is actually.
What do you mean fancy? It's the cheapest meat you can buy.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that as well. That was my second thing as well. Was that last for a week or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to keep me going for 3 nights.
We have got, we've got slow. I've just literally written the menu a couple of days ago, and we've got a slow roasted shoulder of lamb and a slow roast belly of pork. But we basically slow roast it, shred it all up, put it into a tureen, slice it, pan fry it, and serve it with scallops, deep fried capers, and.
I love a bit of scallops. Are you going to be going as far as the foie gras? How high end is it?
No,
it's proper food.
No, it's proper grub. We're hoping people can and have a great meal for 25 quid a head. It's not
very
it's
nice.
not massive amounts.
How many free meals do I get as part of my service here under the public service banner of the BBC to make sure?
It depends if you do the big lunch on the 5th of June.
I'm just going to have to knock on
all your listeners for you to be cooking. The person who doesn't like to cater for events like that doesn't know you're next door. If you do it, then possibly I might do you.
I don't even talk to people in the building, let alone next door to me. Hey, listen. Great to talk to you. Very finally, what is it like being a sex symbol? As you can see, I'm a deeply unattractive man. Nobody could care less whether I come or go, turn up, don't turn up. But I mean, you are a nice bit of trouser for the ladies. How does that feel?
That's it. That's the best compliment I've had all day. Thank you very much.
But you were up at 4 o'clock and you are exceedingly tired.
Yes.
And there was the lady getting out the cab, wasn't there?
Yes, exactly.
Who put you in your place. All right, let's do the big laundry list of things we need to promote for you. Saturday Kitchen. What time's that on Saturday?
10 o'clock.
Very good. 10 o'clock, I'm always there. I like it when you get those spiky guests, like the Gok ones. You're not quite sure what they're going to say
Very
next.
nerve-wracking. He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Bit of a legend. And it keeps you on your toes, really. And literally, I'm not an interviewer, you see. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. It's the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my entire life.
But what I'm so proud of is you dispel the myth that men can't multitask. You're able to cook, think, talk, listen to your earpiece, watch a camera at the same time, and keep up with what your guests are saying. That's not easy, is it?
Yeah, but you can get away with saying that. I'm not going to say that, because you'll have a lot of women belting you with, belting you with stuff. You go around telling that, basically you say nothing. You just do it and go home.
Good job with your programme on the TV on a Saturday. We all love it, and I like it. It's my breakfast programme. That's when I wake up. You're the first thing I see.
It's good fun, but again, we're up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing that. So literally, by the time we come on air, I've already been up 6 hours. So
I'm about to go through renegotiation with the BBC to stay here at BBC Leeds. How do you get more money out of the BBC? Have you managed that yet?
I don't think that happens. Does
no,
it?
No. We just, no matter how successful. I mean, I've added 30,000. I know you've added 3 million, but that's the difference between you and me. I've got the best figures in 6 years. Do you think that justifies a pay rise?
Honestly, no. No, I haven't seen this.
Happy days. All right, then we've got the Leeds Kitchen by James Martin. It's scheduled to open the end of March. I'll be there at the Alea Casino at Clarence Dock for a free meal. I'm not paying. I think, the least you can do, I've given you a bit of airtime, you can give me a sausage sandwich or something like that.
All right.
All right.
The old Yorkshire saying you get nout for nout. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely.
And the big lunch is taking place in June. You can go to the website, which is www.biglunch.com.
That's the one.
Very nice. James Martin, good to talk to you.
I'm James Martin, and you're listening to Alex Belfield, unfortunately.